Come on, man. Let's go.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holken, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, wherever you're downloading your podcast, the show's always free, and the show will always appreciate your support. Today's episode is being brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. It's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. I hate driving in traffic. I hate waiting in a line for anything, even fast food. I mean, when will this line move? And by the line, I mean, when will the guys that USC needs to get out of the transfer portal on both sides of the ball, on the offensive line and the defensive line, when? Is there a good timeline? Here's a question for my everyday listeners. And if you're not an everyday listener, become one. You should. You'll enjoy it. How much does it matter if the guys are walking through the door with minutes to go before the team starts their player run practices? I'm talking about the guys that USC is going to eventually get out of the transfer portal. Or, do you want the new guys here as soon as possible so they can kind of, get integrated, feel like they're a part of the Trojan family? This is part of the larger issue, when you're dealing with the transfer portal and we're talking about essentially 1-year rentals, mercenaries. Them, feeling like they're a part of being something bigger than themselves. And usually when you're in the transfer portal and you got 1 year left to play and you're holding out for that NIL that you've, finger quotes, earned, being a part of a bigger thing is probably a little bit lower on your priority list. Just saying. It's human nature, right? As much as, here's my example. Tell me I'm wrong. As much as Jordan Addison helped out and contributed on the field, did you really feel like he was all Trojan all the time? I don't, maybe it's that lingering feeling in the back of my, that taste in the back of my mouth, how he decided he didn't want to play in the bowl game, which I get. He wanted to get ready for the NFL draft. But again, it's just kind of throwing it out there. I think the longer you're in the locker room, the better the chance of kind of feeling like, hey, you know what? I'm one of the guys. And if I remember correctly, Jordan Addison was a late arrival. So that's kind of why I used him as the example. I mean, you really do hope that they want to win first. But it's really hard to know what's in anyone's head. The other issue is when you bring guys in who are, again, finger quotes, paid mercenaries, it's going to affect the guys who have been around longer, who have put in, all that blood, sweat, and tears. This is a real locker room dynamic. And if the culture isn't strong inside that locker room, literally that type of player that comes in, green with envy, jealousy, it will rear its ugly head. It can tear apart a locker room. Look, it may or may not have had an effect last year or maybe the past couple of years with USC bringing guys in through the transfer portal. I'm pretty sure it had something to do with the way the men's basketball season ended up. I've talked about it on the show many times. Injuries or no injuries, there was just way too much NIL attitude on that in that program in Andy Enfield's last year. So why is this taking so long? What's the holdup with USC getting their biggest needs? This feels like a trickle-down effect. Oh, by the way, one of the guys USC is, targeting, JVR Suggs, he just got another offer. I know I told you on yesterday's episode of Locked on USC that LSU and Brian Kelly, they're not buying players. Well, they're offering late, and they're going after players that USC wants. So I guess that means that his, Suggs' decision now is probably going to take a little bit longer. And, what's the holdup with that young man from Stephen F. Austin, Brandon Lane? What's going on there? I mean, is USC interested or not? He was supposed to take a visit this past weekend. It never got set up. So who didn't set it up? USC? Was it representatives from Brandon Lane's camp? I'm kind of getting the impression that, you know what? They're pulling apart. Maybe there's not a lot of interest there. Does it mean that USC's got some guys under the radar that no one's talking about? Possible. USC hasn't landed a single offensive lineman this offseason. Not one. And the one guy that they did get in the defense, well, they actually got two guys in the defensive line through the transfer portal, Isaiah Rakes and Nate Clifton. Nate Clifton's still a Trojan. Isaiah Rakes picked up and went to Auburn. Yeah. So far, I guess these are, I'm using my finger quotes again, these are considered misses if you're looking from the outside in. This is what you'd say, USC missed on these guys out of the spring transfer portal window. You all know about Derek Harmon. We've been lamenting losing another guy to Oregon at the last second because they came in with a bigger paycheck. But Demonic Williams, Jermaine Lole, those guys ended up at Oklahoma. USC was also interested in the edge rusher from the University of Pittsburgh, Dayon Hayes. He's going to Colorado. I'm not sure this one qualifies as a miss, but Christian Miller, the defensive lineman from Georgia, he had Trojan fans' hopes up for what, 36 hours, 48 hours, whatever it was. I'm in the portal. No, I'm not. Just kidding. Here's my thoughts. I think Coach Riley needs to get his biggest and most immediate needs wrapped up within the next couple of weeks. In fact, the sooner the better. This cannot carry over into June. Mainly, let's look at it from the player's perspective. It takes time to get settled in. You want to feel comfortable in your new surroundings, get to know your new teammates, find out where are we going to eat? What's the best place for this? Today, Albasari can't be ordering Enzo's Pizza from Minneapolis and having that shipped in. You got to find out where the local places are. You got to find a place to live. All the details. I'm not sure that the longer this takes, that we can actually start spinning this into a positive. Well, you know what? USC took its time, and they got who they wanted. No, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. Especially when you know who USC is targeting, and then they end up going elsewhere. Just to remind everybody, USC got off to a really good start at the transfer portal window, in the December transfer portal window. But so far, the spring, it hasn't sprung what's needed most. I'm talking about depth on the offensive line at tackle, depth on the defensive line, interior defensive line, maybe another edge player. But if we're being honest with each other, if I'm being honest with you, maybe some of it's my fault. I anticipated more. I kind of built it up. But I think everybody was anticipating a little bit more. It hasn't happened. So when will it happen? How much longer is this going to take? Not for me, for the fans, for the team. They got to get their stuff together. Form that, circle the wagons, get everybody ready for PRPs. Finals are almost over. In fact, they should be wrapping up. Going to get a week or two off, and then they're going to get right back at it. So, hit me up in the comment section. Let me know. How much more time do they need? How much more time do they deserve? Or does it not matter? When it comes to your financial future, you think you've done it all. You've saved, you've researched, you've invested all that you can. Now you need to take those investments to the next level by using what every financial great uses, Yahoo Finance. And this couldn't exist without the help of sponsors like Yahoo Finance. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or looking for extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. Securely link your brokerage accounts for a unified view of your wealth, including 401k and other investments. With a community of over 90 million users each month, their real strength is helping you on your way to financial success. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com. The number one financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? You're turning on the volume. You don't like all that shouting right in your face. Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channel app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Excuse me, get some water. If someone told you, this segment's probably going to bug you a little bit because it bugged me when I first read it. And I had to kind of, all right, you know what? Let's break this down. If someone told you that USC didn't have one of the top 10 wide receiver groups in the country, you would probably laugh in their face. I know I would. I know I laughed out loud when I read this thing. Our good friend, Jesse Simonton, national writer over there at the On3 Network, he put out his top 10 list. And the Trojans were in the best of the rest. They were able to qualify with Tennessee and Texas Tech and Auburn and North Carolina State. By the way, Mr. Simonton, Auburn's top receiver from last season, he's now on USC's roster, Jay Fair. As I read through the list, I want you to pay attention to this guy's rationale. And then I want you to say, so these guys are kind of getting credit for recruiting, elite talent or not. But if they're, they had elite talent that they transferred away, they're getting credit for bringing guys in through the transfer portal. But USC doesn't get those same benefits. Let's go over this list. I think you're going to find it kind of funny. I really don't have a problem with number one. This is fine. Ohio State. And this is how he characterizes it. Death, taxes, and Ohio State receivers. Once again, the Buckeyes have perhaps the most loaded room in the country in 2024. And this is after losing All-American Marvin Harrison Jr. and former five-star Julian Fleming, who transferred to Penn State. The Buckeyes return Emeka Egbuka, who will be a senior. And they also have five-star sophomores Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis. These guys are ready to step up for a bigger role. And then they have Jeremiah Smith, the number one overall prospect, who's part of the 2024 recruiting class. So, again, I have no problem with Ohio State being number one. They churn out wide receivers every year. They're right behind USC when it comes to wide receiver U. Number two. This isn't trust me, this is not some faux Oregon haterade on my part. But listen carefully to why Jesse has Oregon so high on his list. It's comical. The Ducks lost top target Troy Franklin to the NFL, but their wideout room might actually be better in 2024. Ted Johnson, 86 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 10 scores. Trayshawn Holden and Gary Bryant Jr. will all be in their second year in Will Stein's system, offensive coordinator. Same for five-star Jurion Dickey, who had just one catch in 5 games as a freshman last year. And Oregon is also adding former 5-star Evan Stewart and a couple of other blue chip freshmen into the mix as well. Clear my throat, gather my composure here. Okay. Did Jesse not watch the Holiday Bowl? Did his research not prepare him for the 4 guys who are returning to USC, who will be in Lincoln Riley's offensive system for their second year? Look, no offense intended to Gary Bryant, but GB1 did not make an impact for USC. He didn't make an impact for the Ducks last year, and he left USC because of the wide receivers that USC brought in. And, oh, by the way, Xavier Jordan isn't a blue chip freshman for USC? Yeah. Deep breath. All right. Number 3, Texas. Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, and Jordan Whittington are all gone. But in steps, transfer from Alabama, Isaiah Bond, transfer from Oregon State, Silas Bolden, and a transfer from Houston, Matthew Golden. That trio combined for 140 catches, 20 total touchdowns. Meanwhile, former 5-star Jonte Cook is a potential starter, and blue chip signee Ryan Wingo looks hard to keep off the field after a big spring. So, Texas gets the number 3 spot because of their anticipated starters are all coming together through the transfer portal. And oh yeah, they have some freshman potential behind those guys. What kind of rationale is that? I'm not saying that they don't have a good group, but why is Texas bringing in so many top flight wide receivers through the transfer portal if they were recruiting so well? All those guys, remember, when you come through the transfer portal, you got your mind on your money and your money's on your mind. All those guys are going to want to get their touches. Good luck, Sark. Number 4, Ole Miss. The Rebels are flush with receiving talent in 2024, bringing back top targets Trey Harris, Jordan Watkins, and as well as promising underclassman Aiden Williams. And they're adding the apparently the number 1 JUCO wide receiver from, his name is Deion Smith. Look, I get it. Jackson Dart returns. Lane Kiffin's calling shots. I'm sure they got some good wide receivers. By the way, did I tell you that Jesse Simonton was born and raised in the South? Seriously, non-Trojan fans, would you take Lane Kiffin's group over Zachariah Branch, Deuce Robinson, Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane, Kyron Hudson, Jaden Richardson, Jay Fair? Oh, blue chip prospect Xavier Jordan. Did I miss anybody? Deuce Robinson, Zachariah, Makai, Jacoby. No, got them all. Of course you wouldn't take Lane's over USC's. Come on now. Number 5, Missouri. Oh boy. Yeah. Look, Luther Burden, really good wide receiver. This was Jesse's rationale. Luther Burden III is the best receiver in the country after a sophomore season where he dropped just 4 passes on 94 targets and led the nation with over 700 yards after the catch. Good wide receiver. I'm not knocking it. But he went on to say, Burden isn't just a one-man band either. He's also buoyed by vets Theo Weiss Jr., a former 5-star transfer from Oklahoma, and Muku Cooper. Oh, and the X factor for the Tigers, his name is Marquise Johnson, a home run threat nearly every time he sees the field. In his limited stats, he had 7 catches go for more than 25 yards, including 3 touchdowns. Great. Sounds like he's got a lot of potential. So Luther Burden was now better last year than Marvin Harrison, who was just drafted. Maybe I misinterpreted it. He's good, but bro, why is a former 5-star from Oklahoma having to come to Missouri? Oh, and I'll take USC's Z factor, Zachariah, over Missouri's X factor every day. Georgia got the number 6. Look, he didn't even mention Michael Jackson III. Georgia, unlike other units ranked in the top 10, the Bulldogs don't feature an alpha at wideout, not yet anyways. But few programs have their depth and array of skill sets. Whatever. He said, there's a reason why Carson Beck decided to skip the 2024 NFL draft and play one more year in Athens. It just felt like a gratuitous reach around for Georgia. I mean, I literally went yawn. Number 7, Miami. Yeah, I'm just going to keep going. This is what I'm going to tell you. Did you know that I told you that Jesse grew up on the South, but he also worked for the Miami Herald? Busted, a little biased here. I'm not, look, Xavier Restrepo, Jacoby George, Isaiah Horton. None of those guys are better than anybody on USC's roster. I don't care that Cam Ward is their quarterback. I don't care that they got the transfer from Houston, Sam Brown. Oh, and he went on to say Miami lacks depth. That last part. They lack depth, but they're still better than USC's group. Again, he worked for the Miami Herald. Maybe he owed somebody a favor. Number 8, LSU. Gone are a pair of top 20 NFL draft selections, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. But they bring back scary wide receiver Kyron Lacey, who's ready for his moment in the sun. And the Tigers brought in CJ Daniels from Liberty University, perhaps the top group of 5 receiver to make the jump to a power conference this offseason. Oh, USC's wide receiver room also features Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson, 2023 5-star Shelton Sampson Jr., and for some added insurance, the Tigers brought in Mississippi State transfer Xavier Thomas. Again, he puts LSU in the top 10 because somebody is ready for their moment in the sun. Number 9, Oklahoma. Number 10. Let's just get through this. Guess who's number 10? Colorado. The Buffs have major concerns up and down the roster, but their receiver room isn't among them. Shedeur Sanders has plenty of quality targets to throw to, two-way star Travis Hunter, as well as Jimmy Horn Jr. and O'Marion Miller. Deion Sanders, and they brought in a transfer from Will Shepard from Vanderbilt and LeJontay Wester from Florida Atlantic University. This is just complete Coach Prime football washing. Football washing, if you get my drift there. Nobody's taking that group over USC's. Nobody. Am I mad? No. But this type of stuff needs to be called out for what it is. It's lazy. It's clickbait type of off-season. Read this and give me your feedback. One of these days, I'm going to put together my top 10 list. And I'm going to make it a national story. I'm going to need your help, though. But my gosh. USC doesn't have a top 10 wide receiver group in the country? Please. That was pathetic. Jesse, do better. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/locked on and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right. It's been a while since USC's had anybody make a commitment to their 2025 recruiting class. I mean, it's been almost a month since they got a commitment. Their last commitment for the 2025 class, his name was Willie Wasker, interior offensive lineman, 6'3", 290 pounds, Bellevue, Washington. He committed to USC way back on April 12th. Okay. I guess it's been almost a month. Just to remind everybody, Willie picked the Trojans over Miami and Oregon. And the timing of his commitment happened, well, it was a perfect timing. It happened right after class of 2024 early enrollee center commit Jason Zandamela decided to jump into the transfer portal. When Willie committed, he said, I just felt like the time was right. I love the culture over there. I love how tight their offensive line room is. Let's just say it. USC needed another center for the future, and the spot opened up. It's okay. We know why he jumped in. So who's going to be the next USC commitment? I'm asking because I think USC needs some momentum right now to kind of kill the whole transfer portal blues, the blahs, why we're waiting around. There's always room. Look, there's always going to be room for another wide receiver on the roster. I don't know, is Dalen McCutcheon, young man from Texas, no relation. What about Chris Lawson, wide receiver? He's from Northern California. Archbishop Reardon. Whoever the wide receiver is, and again, I'm just throwing out names right now. Anthony Marsh is out there. Andrew Marsh, excuse me. They're going to join. Right now, USC has Romero Eisen. He committed earlier in April. And you have athlete, wide receiver, running back, Dwayne Morris. Again, early April, guys. You want to jump over to the defensive back room? Again, is Phillip Bell, Mission Viejo, is he going to be the next guy? You guys follow this up probably a lot closer than I do as far as when they're ready to make their announcement. So if I'm rattling off some names and saying, no, Mark, these guys said they're going to announce on their birthday or whatever, say, hey, hit me up in the comment section. Let me know. Remind me. What would happen if they got an offensive lineman, offensive tackle? I know he's not going to commit anytime soon, but Andrew Babaloa, yeah. You know what? USC needs offensive tackles. What would happen if he did that, though? Woof. Again, I doubt that he's in any hurry. He's one of the top guys at his position in the country. Maybe USC gets a commitment in May. I'm starting to kind of get the feeling, no, it's not going to happen. If they do, it's going to be a 2026 guy. But with the June recruiting weekends kind of quickly approaching, not that far away, Trojan fans, I think you might have to be patient. Yeah. I just kind of remind everybody, the staff right now, they're living out of their suitcases. They're traveling all over the country. They're not leaving much of a breadcrumb trail as far as who they're stopping by to see. However, I can tell you, because I was told, that they're scouring. I mean, they're everywhere. They've been to Georgia. They've been to both Carolinas, Florida, Texas, Kansas, Missouri. We know they're in California. So does moving to the Big Ten conference, is that going to change the way USC starts recruiting California? When Pete Carroll was recruiting, when he was USC's head coach, his teams matched up and beat whoever was on the other side of the ball. It didn't matter. Just remember, USC, he wanted to put a fence around Southern California. He did a really good job with that. But a lot of the guys during those halcyon years where USC was just kicking ass and taking names, taking everybody's lunch money, a lot of those guys were from all over the country. Brian Cushing, New Jersey. Kyle Moore, remember him? Georgia. Fred Davis, state of Ohio. I still love the way they snuck him out of the state. I'll have to tell that story one day. Anyways, what do you think? Is USC going to get another commitment for their class of 2025 in May, or are we going to be waiting around till June? I kind of think we're going to be waiting around till June. Been wrong. I'd like to be wrong this time. Just kind of reading the tea leaves. All right. that's it for this episode. I'll be back tomorrow. Another one, 5 times a week. That's what we do here. I need subscribers. I want more subscribers. We want the show to grow. If you're watching YouTube, become a subscriber if you haven't already. Smash that thumbs up. It really helps the show a lot. And don't forget to hit that bell notification button so I can keep you updated every day with all your Trojan news and notes in 30 minutes or less. All right. Till then, everyone, you know what to do.